Hello and welcome to another episode of the Shy Bladder Talk podcast. This is Tim Pyle, the Executive Director of the International Paruresis Association, also known as shybladder.org. Glad you found your way here once again. Today we have Dave Fenbert on the podcast. Dave has been very involved in the IPA since the beginning. We're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. He's been a support group leader since the beginning and has been a board member for the past 14 years. Dave says finding the IPA was a profoundly life changing experience, and it allowed him to put Paruresis in the rearview mirror after living with it for the first 34 years of his life. He stays involved because he wants other people to benefit from what the IPA can offer to people dealing with shy bladder syndrome. And one of the things that he has really helped me out with is the outreach that he does to folks who are incarcerated and just being in prison, living with shy bladder. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. So I'm thankful for Dave being part of that. So now let's hand it off to our program associate Hassan Alamidi and Dave Fenbert. Enjoy.
Hello from post-production land. I just wanted to say I forgot to introduce Dave Fenbert. He's the original Seattle support group leader. He's a board member. He's such a great person. If anybody wants to reach out to him, I'll have his information in the description of the YouTube channel, as well as it's on the website as well. So thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast.
Yeah, but anyway, for people listening, Hassan called me maybe a year ago, and I'm listed as support group leader. But as soon as we talked, I said, Hassan, you're the new support group leader. I'm a consultant. I've retired into consulting. And Hassan was thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Over the years, I just remained as a contact person and try to get people connected. I know a loose knit group of people and get them connected. And you've done a great job of getting out there and leading the meetings and doing the real work.
I appreciate it, man. Dude, I got a lot of cool things that I want to ask you, man. The first thing I want to ask you is, I want you to take us back to the beginning. When did you first realize you had paruresis, and what was life like before you knew that there were other people also dealing with this issue?
Well, that's a good question. I had it since I was young. Like there wasn't any time before where I was fine, and then all of a sudden I got this shy bladder stage fright. So I can't really remember like ages, 4, 5, 6, kindergarten, first grade. I really don't know how I navigated things. But when I was about 7 or 8, we have a workshop coming up this weekend, and we're going to go to the very mall that I went to. My parents took me. I'm sure they're there, but I remember going into the bathroom. Now, this is funny, but it's a very vivid memory. And I looked at this big wall of urinals or a trough, and I was horrified. To be honest, I was like, how do people do that? Like, I can't do that. What are you talking? I mean, people standing side by side out in the open. It was just foreign to me. Like, I cannot do that. And I couldn't. And I think from then on, I became more and more aware that I'm someone who needs a lot of privacy. It was an impossibility. Like, how do people do that is what I felt as a kid. And the older I got, I realized, well, most people seem to be able to deal with a public bathroom and that kind of thing. Where I'm like, no, I gotta go. Like, say you're watching a game, you're at a football game, you don't want to wait till halftime to go in there to go, because that's when everyone's going to crowd in there and take care of their business, and I wouldn't be able to.
So how did you hear about the International Paruresis Association? Like, what was it like attending one of the first few support groups? And then also, you were talking about the board rooms or the rooms, the discussion rooms online. Like, how was that like, the forums? in the early days of the IPA?
Yeah. Well, when I was about 32, I decided on my own that I was going to get over this. I just decided. I was working at Boeing at the time, and this is before the IPA existed. I thought, I'm tired of this. I'm just going to force myself to go into these public bathrooms and use a urinal. And I did that for 2 years, and I made this much progress. Nothing. I never improved. I just couldn't, I don't know. It didn't work. So I did a search, and there was this chat forum. I don't know what you'd call it. It was a chat board or
Yeah.
where people just talk. Like you just have this ongoing conversation. And it was all about shy bladder. And all these guys all over the world were like telling my own story, like, yeah, I can't use the public bathroom. It was a life-changing moment. I don't want to be too corny, but it was, this was like being struck by lightning. Like, wow. That actually existed for about a year before the official IPA started. And that's what gave Steve the idea. So I called him and he gave me the best advice I ever got about shy bladder that pretty much sums up how I approached it. He said, don't ever use the bathroom in your apartment anymore. Now, literally, you have to use it, but he said, if you're going somewhere, stop at the library, stop at the mall, stop at any public bathroom you can find, and just work on, get yourself used to the idea of it's basically called desensitization, which is kind of a hard word to say. But so I started doing that, and then since he lived in Portland, Oregon, we met in Seattle, we met in Portland, and we had what may have been the very first support group meeting of all time. That's what
Wow.
Steve Seufer said. Maybe that was the first one ever.
Wow.
Right around 95 or so, 1995. I still remember we went to 21 different bathrooms. We counted. We would,
Mm.
we went to, I think we met at like a Sherry's or a Denny's. Then we went up to University of Washington. Then we went to the Auburn Super Mall. But we just really did the program outlined in Steve's book. Another thing I did, as soon as I found that chat forum, I told everyone I knew. Told my brothers, I told my best friend, I told my mom, told my dad a year later. I don't know why it took me a little longer.
What do you remember most about those early days of the IPA? Like, what do you remember most about the early days of the IPA? Like, would you have imagined that it would have turned out the way it is? Like 30 years later, this is our 30th anniversary. We got a podcast. We got a lot of cool things
Yeah.
lined up in the coming months. Tim is killing the game.
Mm.
How would you have imagined things turned out 30 years ago?
Yeah, well, we had a support group going here in Seattle and Portland for about 5 years before we met Steve Seufer, because that was the first Seattle workshop. He came out, I think it was around 2000 or 2001. He did the very first Seattle workshop, and I definitely wanted to meet him because I knew about the IPA and all that, but um, and I didn't become a board member till about 13 years ago. I'm losing track, 2012. But it's changed so much. And I'll just give a shout out to Tim and you for making it exponentially better. Because it wasn't that long ago that the board decided to hire a full-time CEO. Because before that, Steve Seufer, he pretty much had to do everything himself. He was the president, he was the CEO, and he had limited time. And we'd have board meetings and we'd discuss things, but it's nothing like it is now. I mean, Tim has put us on the map. You're bringing us into the 21st century. Else I want to add, the thing I've seen, every person I've met who kind of just threw themselves into this day after day, worked as hard as they could, has made a big recovery.
If you could give a message to somebody who's struggling right now, somebody who's listening and that has that like doubt in their mind, like I don't know if I'll ever be able to recover. What would you say to those people out there with that feeling in their stomach?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. The one thing I would do, to me, I define recovery as you can deal with whatever situation you're in. That doesn't mean you're going to go to a urinal every time. It doesn't mean that you're going to get so uninhibited that you're going to go take a leak at halftime at a Seahawks game in front of 50,000 people. That's not the goal. The goal is if I'm on an airplane, I'm going to be able to pee when I need to. If I'm at a crowded restaurant, wherever you might be, even at someone's house, you get the confidence that you'll be able to go. And maybe a person uses a stall for the rest of their life, but I got to the point where I couldn't even use the stall sometimes. I get so inhibited. But I believe, to me, it was a support group that if you keep putting yourself in that situation, like I probably stood at a urinal at least 1,000 times and wasn't able to do anything. But it wasn't failure because each time I did that, I was getting a little closer to, well, if I'm standing here, I've already done it 1,000 times. I might as well pee this time. It worked. I just really believe that it works. You can do that, but don't think, oh, I have to be able to just be so uninhibited that I can just never even have an issue. You'll make a little progress and you'll think you're not getting anywhere, and then you'll look back 6 months and go, well, damn, 6 months ago, I couldn't even use a stall, and now I'm using a urinal like 50% of the time. Your progress might seem slow, but when you look back a year, 6 months, you'll say, oh, I really am moving along. And it got to a point where it's really easy for human beings to fixate on their failure. Like, well, I went to that bathroom and I couldn't go. But then I would have to say, yeah, but I've gone to Pike Place Market during prime time with people swarming everywhere and used a urinal many times with my support group buddies. So I have to give myself credit. Well, okay, you can do it. That's recovery. So after a few, I don't know, it's been like 20 years since I realized, okay, I'm recovered. Okay.
But speaking of life not being good or fair, the prison system, man. We were
Oh,
gonna talk about
oh,
this
finally,
we were gonna
we finally get to the good stuff.
yeah, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I really want to know, like, it's crazy that when I joined the IPA, the craziest thing that I was told was our prison program. I have not touched our prison program. I hope to dive into our prison program in the coming months and see what I can do to help. Um, but you've done prison outreach for so many years. Like, how did that first how did that first happen? Like, what drove you to want to work with prisoners or jail people
Well,
in jail, anybody
yeah.
incarcerated?
Um, well, first of all, I give a shout out to Steve Seufer, Dr. Seufer. I keep calling him Steve because I've known him so long. Dr. Seufer, who he has been reaching out to people in prison since the beginning of the IPA. Like that's always been part of it. And he had limited time, but if he got contacted by people, so he started a tradition of that. And then when Tim Pyle, he's not Dr. Pyle, so I can't call him doctor, but he took it to a whole new level.
Sergeant Powell.
Tim just has a heart to reach out to people. And he sent out an email a few years ago, says, anyone want to help? And I said, Tim, I don't know if you'll cut this part, but I said, Tim, I know no one else volunteered to help, but I want to help. He
All
goes, yeah,
right.
you're right. Because it's just kind of difficult thinking of people in prison. I feel like I want to help people that are neglected. Yeah, they're in prison. Some went wrong in their life, but torturing and abusing people in prison is not the way to go. and most people in prison are coming back out into society. So the more we can treat them like human beings, the better. Is that too corny?
Is it well? Do you work with? No, it's not corny, bro. You know, I'm curious though. Do you work with non-violent offenders, or are you working with violent offenders? And do you draw the line at
Okay,
helping?
here's the deal. Tim and I never ask about why they're in there, but I've been helping them for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years now. We have gotten contacted by everyone from a mother called me one time because her son was just about to get out of prison, but he failed a drug test because he couldn't produce a urine specimen. And the prison system considers that a negative drug test, and they punish these people, which I'll get to that in a minute. But we met people like that all the way from people who say they're in there for life. And we don't ask because we advocate for them to be treated like human beings. And they've contacted us because they try to produce a urine sample and they can't do it with the guard standing there watching them or whatever the scenario. And then instead of allowing them a different test, like a saliva test, they send them to solitary confinement. Or the one example with the mother, he got time added to his sentence. They get fined. And I'm telling you, Hassan, I thought that shit was only in the movies, the bad prison ward. And this is real life. I'm really kind of disturbed or disgusted by how many times we've heard that story. That just because a person can't produce a urine specimen while someone's watching, they get treated as if they failed a drug test. So
It's
that's
awful.
what we do. We send the information to either the advocate. A lot of times, someone's family member reaches out to us or the actual inmate, and we get them information and we encourage them to have the warden or the doctor or the counselor, whoever, contact us and just let them know this is a real problem. This is not some guy trying to get out of a drug test.
Does it work?
We've had a few times where our advocacy has helped, but it,
What's the
it's
ratio? Like 80% works, 80% fails. Like, what do you?
uh, we're gonna have to ask Tim on that one.
Oh,
Uh,
so how do you help? Like, what do you do? Do you send letters? Are you going to the prisons? Are there local prisons in the Seattle area? What is
oh
it that you're
no,
doing?
we get contact from people all over the country, and some of them are state prisons and some are federal. For we still help, but you know, in general, we don't care what they did. We're there to get them treated humanely when it comes to drug testing.
Has there ever been a moment during outreach or like where you were working with somebody that you felt like deeply touched, like on a personal level, where maybe for a couple days after it just didn't sit right, the injustice of the matter? And are you willing to share the story of how that happened?
Well, I yeah, there's been a few times where I feel really good about like when that person's mom called. That's a person's mom, and they're really touched by the fact that Tim and I talked to them and are really doing whatever we can to help the situation. And that feels good. And it's happened several times where either someone's partner or spouse is in jail, and so they're outside advocating for them. That touches me because I know they really just the fact that we're here trying to help means a lot. And the actual outcomes, I don't want to get too caught up in whether the prison system changes. There have been a few where they will write back and say, "Hey, the warden read all your information and allowed me to do a different kind of test." And
I was just curious, like, what did you learn most about like human resilience working with both people in the correctional institutions and then shy bladder support groups?
I feel like I believe I've learned that, Well, one thing I've learned when sort of analyzing the shy bladder, you're kind of getting better or you're getting worse. Like there's no static. So if you're avoiding this behavior, if you just keep, well, I just have to find more privacy, it keeps getting worse. You need more and more privacy. And that would kind of describe the first half of my life because I didn't know what to do. And I think it was getting worse in some ways. But when you're facing something, you're getting better. Even if it feels like you're getting nowhere, you're moving in the right direction. So I would call that resilience, or that's if you're working on an issue, you have to face the discomfort and move toward the discomfort. Just like I
So,
told you before, I don't want to be on camera. And then I said, well, bullshit. I need to be on camera.
right,
Right?
yeah, showing
Don't cut
people your
that. I want to
gorgeous
say I
looks.
want to say bullshit in the podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
I think just facing facing this fear and then really feeling like it was just it's such a life-changing event. I just knew I'm going to stick with the IPA. I need to. It was such a big deal to improve my life that I want to ensure that the organization continues and that people that come along can have some hope. Because I didn't have any. I'm not trying to be maudlin. I'm just saying it was I was 34 years old. No one had ever even, there's no information on it. So really it's kind of the internet that saved me, not the IPA, it's the internet itself. So I'm gonna have to stay online 24/7.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. Um, so for the last, we're at to this is the 30th anniversary year
Yeah.
of the IPA.
Yeah.
You know, what would you change for the 30 years from now anniversary, the 60th anniversary of the IPA? What does the IPA still need to do to change from your experience? How could it improve? I'm like a genie, but I can only grant one wish, and it's like a bull crap wish. So you gotta like make it feasible. Like you want to see water fountains with IPA logo, I could do that. But what would you change in a couple of years if or like what would you improve about the IPA if you could improve anything?
Well, I think what would help, and this is something the IPA has been trying to do for 30 years, is to make it a household name condition. Like Dan Rocker had a great analogy a long time ago when he first came on the board that everyone in the world knows what agoraphobia is. They've all heard of it. But he said it affects like 0.01 of the population, but everyone knows what it is. But you say shy bladder, and people still are like, well, yeah, everyone gets that. Or they don't really understand that it can be a serious medical problem. So that would be one thing, and probably it will happen. The other thing would be the American Restroom Association. Get more European in bathroom design. If you travel to Europe, they have most bathrooms are single occupancy, fully enclosed bathrooms. Like I don't know if it's a cultural thing where they just throw you into a bathroom and say, see that big tin trough in the corner? Just go pee in it while you're shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of other dudes. It just seems a little weird, right? Like, can we get any privacy? I almost think
Japan has a pretty good
women
system.
wouldn't put up with that shit,
Yeah.
right?
Japan has a
Guys
good
do,
system. Have you seen
right?
Japan's system?
No.
It's like they'll play music. It's like a cube,
Oh,
square
I've heard
up,
of that. Right.
music, seat warmer, nature sounds, everything.
But like women wouldn't put up with it if they went into a bathroom with no stalls and just go, whatever. No, but guys, it seems a cultural thing. You're just supposed to be, you know,
It's like the man way to pee.
impervious and just don't be a
Yeah.
wuss. That would be an improvement.
Dude, I
Um,
was watching the Anaconda scene like
oh
for the
yeah.
first time. I didn't watch it when you guys were having a spur over it. I
Uh,
watched it just the other day just to check it out because I have to email the director and talk to him about if he wants to be on a podcast. And
uh,
so I was like looking at the scene and I looked at the comments and there was a lot of people There was a person, he had like 30 likes. He was talking about how he didn't know that shy bladder was a real issue. And I was like, holy crap, guys. Like, you guys don't even know. And like, he said it was like he had a shy disposition to a bathroom, like in the movie or something. He didn't say paruresis, like shy bladder or nothing. But that was just kind of eye opening. He probably found our website, clicked on it, saw our shish, and then was like, holy crap, like this is a real thing. Finally, if someone is listening alone, believing that they'll never overcome paruresis, what would you want to hear? What would you want them to hear today?
I would want them to contact the IPA, whether there's a million contacts on there, whether it's your local support group leader, whether it's Tim, anyone in our organization, get connected to us and we can help.
Man, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you, man. We're gonna get you for a part 2, man. We'll bring Dave Kliss on. It's gonna be a whole thing, man. Thank you again, man, for showing up, man.
All
I
right. Well,
appreciate you.
thanks, Hassan. Actually, I'll see you this Friday.
Yeah, we'll see you Friday, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Peace, everyone.